Look at these two quadratic equations on the board. The first one is 6x squared minus 13x plus 5 equal to 0. And the second one is 2x squared plus 3x minus 7 equals 0. These two equations are not the same. I'm going to show you why they are not the same. For the first equation, 6x squared minus 13x plus 5, 6x squared minus 13x plus 5 equals 0. I can solve this equation by factorizing the left-hand side. That is the method of factorization. You get it? And it's simple. Multiply 6 by 5, that will give me 30. Right? The coefficient of x is minus 13. So the method says, I need two numbers whose product is 30 and whose sum is minus 13. That is two numbers that are multiplied together to get 30, and the same two numbers when added together gives me minus 13. Without thinking too much, the numbers are minus 10 and minus 3, because minus 10 times minus 3 is plus 30, and minus 10 plus minus 3 is what? Minus 13. So the two numbers are minus 10 and minus 3. We can solve this by factorization method. It's simple. This is 6x squared. Replace this minus 13x with this minus 10 minus 3. That will be minus 10x minus 3x plus the 5 equal to 0. Then factorize by grouping. This is 6. What's common to this 2? I have 2x. Bring it out. If I divide 6x squared by 2x, that will be 3x. And if I divide minus 10x by 2x, that's minus 5. Now, what is common to this 2? It is minus 1. So that I'll be having 3x minus 5 equal to what? 0. Now, the two numbers in brackets, they are the same. Bring out one of the brackets. 3x minus 5. Then this 2x minus 1. Form another bracket and everything equals 0. So, if the product of two numbers is equal to 0, it means that any of the numbers is 0. So I can set either of them to 0. Either 3x minus 5 is 0, or 2x minus 1 is what? 0. From here, x is equal to 5 over 3. If you collect like terms and divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is 3. Or, from the other side, x is equal to positive 1 divided by 2. This is it. For the first equation, it is factorable. The left-hand side can be factorized. But what happens to this kind of an equation? Check. This is 2x squared plus 3x minus 7 equals 0. Let's try to apply the same method here and see if it's going to factorize. 2 times minus 7 is what? Minus 14. And what is the coefficient of x here? 3. So like the method says, multiply two numbers and get minus 14. Add the same two numbers and get 3. I think if I do 2 times 7, I'm going to get 14. If I do 14 times 1, I'm going to get 14. There is no way I will add or subtract these two set of numbers to give me 3. It's not possible. So, for this kind of an equation that does not factorize, it means that we are either going to use the formula method, which is the quadratic formula, or we use the method of completing the squares. But the point is, using the formula method is quicker and easier than using the method of completing the squares. But I am going to show you how to solve this kind of equation using the formula method, using the quadratic formula that we also call the almighty formula. Okay, but I'm going to deduce the formula first before attempting to use the formula to solve this question. So make sure you watch this video to the end so you understand in details what is going to happen here. Now, this is it. The general form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. This is the general form of all quadratic equations. Now, I want to show you the formula, the almighty formula from this. The first step, move this c to the other side. This is ax squared plus bx equal to negative c. The next step is to remove this a from the x squared. So whatever that is attached to the x squared, you remove it. That means I'm going to divide both sides by a, and I'll be having x squared plus bx divided by a is equal to what? Minus c divided by a. If I divide ax squared by a, the a on top will cancel the a that is under. That's step 2. Then the next step is this. Add the square of half of the coefficient of x to both sides. Let me explain what this means. Add the square of half of the coefficient of x to both sides. What is the coefficient of x here? It is b over a, right? b over a, b over a. It is the coefficient of x. Half of it is to multiply by 1 over 2 or to divide by 2. So b times 1 is b, a times 2 is what? 2a. This is half of b over a. So the coefficient of x is b over a, half of it is b over 2a. Then I will now take the square of this result. Square this. It's going to give me what? B squared divided by 4a squared. B squared is b squared. 2 squared is 4. A squared is what? A squared. So this is the square of half of the equation of x. I can either use b squared over 4a squared or b over 2a all squared. Any one of them, they are the same. Just that this one is the simplified form of this. So I'll be adding this to both sides. So this is x squared plus b over ax. Then add that result. B squared over 4a squared. But see one thing. For the sake of the technique that we are applying, I'm going to use this particular form of this at the left hand side. You know, I said that this and this, they are the same thing, right? So I should write this one here. You will see the reason why. B over 2a square it equals minus c over a plus, I want to write this one again. You know, I'm adding it to the left and to the right. But I don't want to use this form here. I'll be using this one here. I told you they are the same. The reason I'm using this one here at the right hand side is because if I should use this one, I am still going to expand it in my next step. So let me just expand it once and for all by using b squared divided by what? 4a squared. Simple. Let's simplify the left hand side. Or let's just keep solving. You see this left hand side now. I want to factorize it in a very easy way. X is having a square. Bx over a is having a sign plus a positive sign. B over 2a is raised to the power of what? 2. So what I'm going to do now is this. I'll write this x. Leave the square alone. The sign of this middle term is plus. Write it down. Leave the middle term. B over 2a is all raised to power 2. Leave the power 2. Write the b over 2a. Then square everything. Look, it's very easy. If I expand this x plus b over 2a raised to power 2, I'm going to get this result. You can make the attempt of expanding it and it's what I'm talking about. Is equal to minus c over a plus b squared over 4a squared. Let's simplify into one fraction. A and 4a squared. What's the LCM? The LCM is 4a squared. 4a squared divided by a is 4a. 4a times minus c is minus 4ac. That's 1. 4a squared divided by 4a squared is 1. 1 times b squared is b squared. Are we there? So this is x plus b over 2a all to the second power is equal to, I can write this as b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. The next thing is to take the square root of both sides. Alright? I'm going to take the square root of both sides to eliminate this square from here. The attempt is to solve the equation for x. So I should remove the square. Anytime we take square root of a number, or if we have an equation that does not contain square root initially, and we introduce a square root by ourselves, add a plus or minus. So this square takes away the square root. X plus b over 2a is left inside the bracket is equal to plus or minus. Check it out. This is the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. The square root is affecting both numerator and denominator. But this denominator is a perfect square in the sense that the square root of 4 is 2. And the square root of a squared, is what? A. So the square root will no longer affect the bottom, but just the top. B squared minus 4ac. So x is going to come out now. X should be equal to, if this b over 2a crosses to the right, it turns to a minus because it had a plus initially. Minus b divided by 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over what? 2a. Check. This is 2a for minus b. This is 2a for the square root of what we have here. They have the same denominator is common. So mathematics will allow me, since they have the same denominators, I can just group them into a single denominator. Just watch me. I can group them into a single denominator into something like this. And this is what we call the almighty formula, which is the quadratic formula that we use to solve quadratic equations in mathematics. This is the formula. So, the attempt was to solve this equation by factorizing it, left hand side. But it could not be factorized. So we now have to look for another technique. And the next or the easiest technique to apply to solve an equation like this is the use of the quadratic formula. And I've just deduced the quadratic formula for you. You can see. So let's use this formula now to solve this question. Look at it. We want to solve 2x squared plus 3x minus 7 equal to 0. Let's compare. This equation is exactly in this form. First things first. With a equal to 2, a is 2, b is what here? 3, and c is minus 7. Always attach the sign to it. But take note, if there is a sign, a negative sign attached to the a here, let's say for example we had minus 2, we must remove that minus 2 first by dividing all through by minus 1 or multiplying through by minus 1. So this minus sign attached to the equation of x squared must be eliminated. That's the point. So let's go. X is equal to minus b. Okay, I should remove this one now. Yeah. Minus b. What's b? 3. This minus is always there. So even if our b, for example, was minus 3, we'll be having minus 3. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is 3, so 3 squared. Minus 4 times a. What's a? A is 2. Times c. And what's c? Minus 7. Divided by 2a. And a is 2. That's 2 times 2. So x is equal to minus 3. Plus or minus the square root of 3 squared is 9. Minus times minus is a plus. 4 times 2 is 8. And what is 8 times 7? Or let's say 4 times 7 is 28. 28 times 2, that's 40, 16, 56. Then divided by 4. So x is equal to minus 3 plus or minus the square root of, this is 65 divided by what? 4. 65 is an imperfect square. It does not have an exact square root. So if I do the square root of 65, it's going to give me a decimal point. We don't need that in this case. For example, I don't want to use decimal, so I can leave my answer like this. What this means is that x is equal to minus 3 plus the square root of 65 divided by 4, or x is equal to minus 3 minus, I'll not take minus, I took plus the first time, the square root of 65 divided by what? 4. So those are the two values of x that satisfies this particular equation. This is how the almighty formula is deduced and applied. I hope you enjoyed the video. Support by subscribing, like, and share. See you in the next one.